What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon. This is Lifestyles Defined. Welcome to another episode of AMA. If you're new here and you don't know how this works, you ask us a question, any question, in the comment section below, and we will answer it in upcoming videos. So today's question comes from Vlada. Vlada, I hope I didn't butcher your name, sir. And he says, hello, I have a big problem in connection with the decision of which phone to buy. I study the symptoms of disease on the plants, and I need a phone with a camera, with a good camera, micro images, micro details, macro, and good work without the lag. So far, I have used a Lumia 630 and very satisfied. And so he liked the quality of Windows Phone. He's saying, looking at the net and thinking which phone to buy, the Huawei P9 Lite or the Lumia 640 XL. Interested in your opinion and recommendations. Well, my good sir, this is gonna be an interesting one for me. So I pulled up the specs on this dope app that I found. It's called Mr. Phone. Is it Mr. Phone? Yeah, Mr. Phone. This thing's dope. You can actually pull up the specs of any phone, just type in the name and it comes up and you can do comparisons. So yeah, if we're looking at the specs, right, the Huawei's got the 6.2 inch display, and the 640 XL's actually got the bigger 5.7 inch. The dimensions are neither here nor there. To be honest, I think the Huawei P9 Lite has a much better design overall. I feel like the dimensions are a much more sleek phone. It's also a lighter phone according to the specs. The resolution of the screen with the P9, you get a 1080p display, and with the Lumia 640 XL, you get a 720. Of course, the pixel density is higher on the P9. Now, the cameras are both rated at 13 megapixels. They both have an LED flash. The front-facing camera is better on the P9 with an 8 megapixel versus the 5 megapixel on the 640. The chipsets, I don't know, these look fairly comparable. GPU, whatever. See, the P9 is running their own thing. They aren't necessarily processors that we're used to, but these are both sort of middle of the road phones, I would say. So I expect their performance to be similar. Now, where it gets particularly interesting here is the RAM. So you'll notice the P9 Lite comes with 3 gigs of RAM, and that's incredible for a budget phone. And then the Lumia 640 only has a gig. So what I would say here is, if you're a Windows Phone user already, in which he is, he declared that, the RAM isn't a big deal for you. You know, it's sort of like iOS and the iPhone and versus an Android phone. You know, Android takes a bit. It's a pretty heavy OS. It's got some piggish behaviors. So the more RAM you throw at it, the more smooth of an experience you would get. Whereas on iOS and Windows Phone, you know, these operating systems are heavily optimized to make use of the lower spec hardware, which is a good thing. So moving on, the batteries are the same, 3000 milliamp. I think that's dope. That's more than enough to get you through your day, and I think that's a compliment to where we are with these type of phones in today's world. Before, to get a phone with 3000 milliamps, you have to spend like $900. So the P9 Lite comes with a fingerprint reader, which is dope, and the 640 XL does not. So that could be something there. The P9 Lite also comes with the new USB Type-C, where the 640 just comes with the old micro USB. So I think those are the main differences there. And of course, one is Android, one is Windows Phone. You said you were satisfied with the quality of the operating system with the Lumia. So I feel like a Lumia 640 XL would be a good upgrade for you. Now, before I go ahead and make that recommendation, I would caution you to actually think ahead and really sit down and be honest with yourself as to what you will be using going forward. Even though, you know, I know a ton of people like this, and there are Windows Phone purists, and there are people who don't need a lot from their smartphone. And you know, Windows Phone does fit the bill, and it's okay. But if you think that, you know, you get a new phone and you'll want to do some exploring, you hear everyone's playing Pokemon Go, these things are still outside your realm as a Windows Phone user. So, you know, now is the time before you make your decision. If you're going to stay with Windows Phone, I think there should be a good amount of detail that you sit down and think about, so you make sure that the next year to year and a half of your life with your phone is a good experience. Now, if you were to go with the P9, I don't know much about Huawei. What I can say is my Nexus 6P has been holding up hardware-wise. I think it's a very solid device. I personally never held or played with the P9 or P9 Lite, so I can't really say much there. But what I will say is, you know, Android can be Android, and it really gives me some satisfaction to see that the P9 Lite actually does come with 3 gigs of RAM. So I can confidently say that phone probably has a good user experience. And from the reviews that I've been watching, it's been moving along nice. There's no Android lag. Now, the important thing for you is the camera. Listen, you know the Lumia cameras get to work. You've owned one. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I did the comparison between the images that I saw online, and yes, the Lumia does have the better camera of the two. So again, that would be leaning more toward your Windows Phone. So I think the 640 XL is a good device. It's a good bet if you are totally okay with where you are in the Windows Phone world right now. If you have a slight bit of thought about, damn, I remember that one time I tried to get an Instagram app and it wasn't there, or I tried to download Snapchat and it wasn't there, rethink it. That P9 might be a better look for you. My name is Ramon. I hope I answered your question. This is Lifestyles Defined. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Subscribe. We got plenty more coming. I am out of here. Peace.
From the deep forest into the sun.